now joined by Denny Hamlin, driver of the number 11 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny, congratulations on your contract extension.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead, open it up for questions. If you have one, please raise your hand and we'll get a mic over to you. We'll start down here with Daniel, and then we'll go over to Lee and the back to Deb.
Daniel McFadden, frontstretch.com. Denny, is this your final contract extension?
I would say probably most likely. Yeah. Who knows, but most likely.
Okay. You turn 45 in November. There's been lots of talk.
I'm aware.
There's been lots of talk about over the last few years about people in the industry getting burnout, especially with how long the season is. You got a lot going on your plate, but I am curious at this point in your life, how have you gone about keeping from getting burned out and wanting to do this year after year, especially at this point in your career?
Yeah, good question. I would say it's kind of a twofold thing. You know, some of it is myself motivating, right? I have, goals I'd like to reach in the Cup Series. Really strong relationship with Joe, doing it for them and their family as well to keep going. And then obviously the ability to win week in, week out, that certainly is a high motivating factor in wanting to do this. And certainly, I think about on a weekly basis, would I want to do this if I didn't have the ability or couldn't win as much? It probably would not. The motivation wouldn't be there, but certainly as competitive as I am, I'm motivated by being able to win.
We'll go to Lee and then to Deb.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. With free agency being such a big thing, what does it mean that you've spent your entire Cup career at Joe Gibbs Racing?
A lot. I mean, they're the ones that, went out on a limb and hired me when, I had nothing, and nothing of nothing. They took a chance on me, and JD obviously believed in me quite a bit. So, you want to pay back that loyalty to the family that gave you that start. And, it'll be, well over 20 years that I'll be with them, and couldn't imagine, racing for any other organization, much less family.
And it used to be that drivers really didn't get A-list rides until they were late 30s, whatever. And then you see them evolving. You continue to get better. I mean, you were good when you started, but you just get better. And the age thing just doesn't even seem to be a factor. How do you do that?
I think also, kind of one of the deciding factors for me is that, I kind of got my body in a good place where, like, my back is not, bothering me as much as it was a few years ago. I've kind of gotten in a good place there. And so a lot of it is, can you physically hold up? Can you mentally hold up? And then, does it remain super high on the priority life list? And for me, it still does. And so I treat it, I'll treat the next few years just like I would be treating my rookie season or the year after. I never wane from making sure that I'm doing my job and to the best of my ability, and work ethic will never change.
We'll go to Deb, then to Jordan, then here in the middle of the green shirt, and then black.
Deb Williams, Auto Week. Denny, decades ago, Neil Bonnet said that a driver peaks between ages 35 and 45 because it takes that driver that long to learn the racing craft. Do you feel that still applies, or with drivers now starting at a younger age, the technology that exists, the simulation, do you feel they can peak earlier now, or that 35 to 45 is still relevant for drivers?
Yeah, I believe drivers nowadays can peak between 25 and 30. If I had to throw what I believe is to be true in this day and age, a lot of that has changed because of the technology, because of the information. You see it with young golfers as well, right? I mean, kids that are 14 years old shooting 65. It's just more information, more training, smarter training. It's the same in racing, and I think that that definitely probably was true back then, where you had to go testing to get more seat time, and now these drivers have many laps and simulation, and they're able to get in real cars sooner. Back when I was doing this, you couldn't get in any kind of actual car until 16. Now it's like 12 or 13. So everything is moved up, and with the new technology of training nowadays, I just feel like that number, you should be able to be at your peak craft. Now, as you continue to get more and more experience, your craft will continue to get better, but then I think that there's some sort of switchover point where then your ability's not as good, whenever that point is. And it's different for everyone. But certainly think that in NASCAR, for what I've seen lately, 25 to 35, it seems like a really good spot. Or 25 to 30 is a really, really good spot.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Why 2 years? Why not 3 years? How did you settle on 2 years?
What's that?
Why 2-year extension, not a 3-year extension? Why? How did you settle on that number?
For me, it's all I feel comfortable. 3 years, who knows what could happen 3 years from now. So I just want to make sure that I give them proper time and, make sure I commit to them for, not 1 year, multiple years, let them try to continue to build the program. But no particular reason other than, at my, if I was 26, I would take 10 years. But I just, I want to make sure that I'm still at my peak form in my final year. And, that could be tailing off in 3 years. So I don't want that.
When you look at the current schedule or the schedule for next year, as it is now, NASCAR's not racing in the 3 largest markets, New York, Chicago, LA. Is that, from a team owner perspective, does that matter to you guys? Are you guys happy with how the schedule is kind of shaping up in the markets you're going to?
Well, it certainly is important from the team owner side. Obviously Chicago was a big activation place for 2311 in particular. We had, a lot of our major sponsors that were needed big activation at that track. So certainly the locations matter when it comes to where we go. But I also understand the challenges of bringing racetracks to those particular cities that you talked about. So it's a tough balance.
Yeah, Denny, Roy Akers, Skyview Sports. On the bracket challenge, obviously it's finishing this weekend and it's your brainchild. Do you have like a phase 2 or anything in your thoughts, like, making it bigger in terms of getting more payout spots or double elimination or any of that? Or could you unfold if you thought that far ahead?
Yeah, I think those are all very valid ideas. Certainly, paying for advancing. I think you would probably get more buy-in from drivers if they know they're financially motivated, to beat this one person. I mean, I know a lot of people kind of played it off this year. Everyone knew about it. Everyone knew who they had to beat. Everyone did care about it. So, that's always a factor, but then, you got to create a bigger pool of money there to then do that. So you still need to make it, big for the winner, but certainly feel like it was all implemented fairly well this year. Just adjust the tracks, maybe adjust the payout like you're talking about. As you advance, you continue to get a higher payout, and then you move from there.
Denny, right here, right in front of you. Angela Morian, Wish TV from here in Indy. You've had 16 starts on the oval, but still no win. How special would it be to get a win here at the Brickyard 400 and have be a part of the history here at IMS? Yeah,
certainly, it's tough to say what it would mean until it actually happens, but certainly adding another crown jewel would be big, and then to have them all swept to where we've done it all. Certainly the names are very, very prestigious on that list, and so it would, it certainly would mean a lot to me. It would just be, another, feather in the cap. I don't know what else it would bring to me other than that, just a little prestige. But certainly, we've come close. I mean, we were actually just as close on the road course as we were the oval, although I don't know, you could argue whether that was an actual crown jewel or not. So, highly motivated, just need things to go our way once.
We're going to go over here to Alan and then to Steven, and I know there's a whole lot of questions, so we'll see how many we can get.
Alan Cavana, TNT, over here to your right. Last year in the coverage and the highlights, a lot was made of how Kyle Larson was making these kind of late passes. Was that something different, innovative? Was that something we're studying as a competitor, what he was doing out there?
Well, it's so hard because everyone in front of him had to save fuel. And so we were all running half throttle down the straightaway, so it allowed these big runs to look bigger than they actually were. So if everyone's on kill there, most of those passes probably don't happen. I think he's good enough to where, some of them do happen just naturally. But again, everyone was in a fuel save mode. So it's so hard to really learn much from it, given the circumstances, but certainly very impressive.
Go to Steven over to your left and then the back.
Steven Stump, Front Stretch over here. Steven Stump, FrontStretch.com. Denny, you said you wanted to, race as long as you remain competitive. Hypothetically, if you just kept winning year after year after year, is there a certain age where you'd be like, I think it's time to hang it up, or just do you want to go indefinitely as long as you can?
I don't know. I like to just see kind of where I'm at. 2 years from right now. Just kind of where's the team at? What's their plan B? Where are they at with that? And then just see how competitive I am. How good do I feel? How much and how bad do I want it? I mean, all those things are just big factors in it. But I want the ability to know I can win my last race. That's going to be the deciding factor. I'm not going to wait until I start to head downward and then retire. Like, I don't want to go through a whole year of that. I understand if it just happens naturally in the second half of the final year, then it just happens. But I don't want to have to go through another season. Like, if I start tailing off at the end of next year, I'll just retire. I mean, I can retire whenever I want to retire. So I think that, I'm just going to see how things go. But ultimately, I want to give, as long a commitment as I can to GGR.
And you've also mentioned 60 wins as kind of that magic number you've been chasing. That would also be top 10, tied for top 10 all time. If you do reach 60, do you have a number in mind after that, or are you just focused on reaching that at this point?
I'd love to get 60 this year. That would put me in a really good spot over the next couple years to then get into the 60s, where I think that could hold up for quite some time until someone young comes in and moves up the list. But it's going to continue to get harder and harder as the field gets closer and closer. The wins are going to get more spread out. We're not in the era of 3 competitive cars and 4 competitive drivers. Like, it's just wins are always going to get more spread out now than what they are back in the 60s, 70s, in those days. So I'd like to firmly get in there and then make people chase it from that point on.
Go in the back, and then we'll take one final one for Reed.
Denny, to your left, Pat Jaggers, Motor Racing Network. Once you hang up the helmet, I know it's kind of hard to kind of follow up to his question, but it's kind of hard to think about what's going to happen 2 years from now. But once you hang up the helmet, are there interests or things you'd like to maybe focus more on, or things you'd like to try beyond driving and being in the cockpit of a race car? And if so, what are some of those things?
I think I just need to see what retirement's like, whether I'm bored or not. I mean, I just don't see myself as someone that is able to go from this crazy world and life that I live with all these things to then just shutting it down to zero. So I think I need to just feel those first few months out. Obviously, feel like, with 2311, there's an opportunity there to be winners of this sport long after I'm done driving. So that will take up more time. I'll give more time to that. But then beyond that, I don't know. I'll figure out how much golf I can play and how many fish I can catch.
And just looking forward to Iowa. What did you learn last year, and what do you expect?
Iowa. Yeah, I don't know. That was interesting because that track is like a short track, and we were not good. Now, I had some health issues. I was not feeling well to start that race, and we went straight to the back. I think we got lapped. I got to feeling a little better after halfway. We got back on the lead lap, actually got to top 5, and then crashed. So not really sure about that track. It's one of the ones that I'm a little uneasy about kind of where we are, but I'm sure year over year, take the notes that we learned from last year. I was supposed to do the Iowa test this year, didn't obviously because of Jameson, so missed out on all my tests this year. But hope I go there and run well. Should anyway.
We'll take one final question from.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. Obviously, the 60 wins is important, cracking the top 10. You've said that many times. Also, you've said championship is nice if it happens. But if this is your final contract, what other achievements would you like to leave behind by the time you retire?
Real good one. Just more crown jewels. I don't know exactly how many I have now, but just I think that those races, 7. So, if I can get 8 or 9, I don't know. I don't know that it changes much, but it certainly makes me feel a little better. You got to have goals, and so those crown jewels will be one that when we go to races like this, they're going to talk about ones that people that have won here at this racetrack and won crown jewel events. I want to be high on the crown jewel list of winners, and so if I can get a couple more of those, and again put myself, well into the 60s, if not a bigger number, then I'm going to be. If I get nothing else, truly, I'm going to be happy. I'll be disappointed because, I'm setting my goals now accordingly based off of how things are going. But truthfully, I would be happy with just calling it and saying, this is how many races I've won. This is my winning percentage. This is how many crown jewels I have. I'm good, but I still want to do it.
All right, Denny, thanks for your time today.
Thanks.
Good luck this weekend.